Today we're going to be looking at a problem that involves proportional reasoning. We are going to illustrate this problem using equivalent ratios. Recall that a ratio is a comparison of two quantities, and equivalent ratios make the same comparison. So let's begin by looking at the question. The D'Souza family is going on a trip to Prince Edward Island and back. It is 1,600 kilometers from home to PEI. Determine the total cost of the gas for the D'Souza family's trip to PEI and back if the cost of gas is 128 cents per liter and the car uses 9.8 liters per 100 kilometers. Show your work. So what do we need to figure out in this question? For today's lesson, we're going to be using equivalent ratios to solve this problem. So we need to begin by looking at what the comparison is in this question. Let's begin by underlining all our quantities. We know that the D'Souza family travels 1,600 kilometers one way. We know that gas costs 128 cents per liter, and the car uses 9.8 liters per 100 kilometers. So some of the units we're working with are kilometers, liters, and money. So let's start by looking at the relationship between liters and kilometers. For every 9.8 liters, the car travels 100 kilometers. Where else did you see the unit kilometers? That's right, 1,600 kilometers is the total distance they travel one way. So let's write 1,600 kilometers in our ratio. Do we know how many liters the car uses for every 1,600 kilometers? No, but we know that there's going to be a relationship between these two quantities. 9.8 to 100 is equal to something to 1,600. One way of determining an equivalent ratio is to multiply or divide each term in the ratio by the same number. So how do you think the second terms are related? 100 and 1,600 can be related by multiplication. 100 times something gives you 1,600. Well, how many times does 100 go into 1,600? That's right, 16 times. So 100 times 16 is 1,600. If I multiply the second terms by 16, what do you think we need to do to the first terms? In order to keep this situation proportional, we would also have to multiply the first terms times 16. So 9.8 times 16 is equal to 156.8. Therefore, the car uses 156.8 liters from home to PEI when it travels 1,600 kilometers. So what do we need to do next? Well, we need to find the cost of the gas. So let's look at the relationship between the cost and the amount of liters that the car uses. So there is a relationship between dollars and liters. For every 1 liter, it costs $1.28. Well, if the car uses 156.8 liters, can we figure out how much it costs? Once again, we're going to use equivalent ratios to solve this problem. 1.28 to 1 is equal to something to 156.8. Well, this time, in order to solve this, we're going to look for a relationship within these ratios. How are 1.28 and 1 related? Well, if I take 1 and multiply it by 1.28, I get 1.28. So think about it. What do we need to multiply 156.8 by to get the missing value? We would need to multiply this also by 1.28. 156.8 times 1.28 is equal to 200.704. Do you remember what that number represents? It represents the cost, the amount for every 156.8 liters. Now, since this is a dollar amount, we should round our answer to the nearest penny. Well, if we look at the number next to this, it's a number that's less than 5. So do we round up or does the number stay the same? It stays the same. So we can say that the cost is approximately 270 cents. Therefore, we just found that the cost of gas is $200.70 from home to PEI. did we find the total cost of the trip? Remember, the question said that the family is going on a trip to Prince Edward Island and back. We just found the cost for one way. Well, if the family is traveling there and back, we know that it's going to cost $200.70 one way and then another $200.70 the other way. So altogether, how much money do they need to spend in gas? When we add these together, we get $401.40. Therefore, the total cost of gas for the D'Souza family's trip is $401.40. In today's lesson, we used equivalent ratios to solve this problem. But can you think of other strategies you could have used to solve the same question? Check out our playlist to see different ways of answering the same question.